What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Bodacious Rant with Burn and Rye. I know you all love me so much, because I love you guys even more. I'm just kidding, everybody. I don't mean to be such a freak, but I'm kind of channeling the movies into our reviews and stuff a little bit, because it's fun, and if not, then I don't know what to tell you. Anyways, this was a movie, one of those movies that I didn't really hear about until recently, but the closer it got to being released, I was like, you know what, I am interested in this. And finding out it's made by one of these, not influencers, but like a online comedian, like a guy who creates content online, thinking like, okay, this is the guy that's doing it? Like, let's see how it comes out. And man, what a movie. But we are talking about the latest dark comedy / horror movie to grace our presence, which is Obsession. Starring a lot of young actors I've never really even heard of. Like, for instance, the main guy was, I apologize for that, is Michael Johnston.
Yeah.
But the female lead, Indy Navarrete, which I hope I'm saying her name right, she's the only one I knew because for those of you who haven't watched her, maybe you may recognize her from Superman and Lois when it was on CW, and now that show's on HBO. So I thought that was pretty cool that she's in it. And it's directed by Curry Barker, who's like a giant goober on him and his buddy Cooper Tomlinson, who also stars in the movie. They just make these stupid skits and stupid situations. Like, it's not cringe humor, some of it is, but it's just ridiculous. Like, the scenarios they act and go about are hilarious. But anyways, this is a spoiler-free review because this is not something we want to ruin for you guys. So if you did happen to watch the movie, or you just like enjoying me and Burn, tuning into our episodes, feel free to give us that thumbs up to show your support with a like. Ring the bell for notifications, just stay up to date when we drop our reviews. And, of course, subscribe. We do appreciate you all for that. And, again, genuine love, not obsession, not bad, toxic love. Also, too, before we get started, if you guys haven't, feel free to check out our Punisher One Last Kill, the Disney Plus Marvel special presentation review. That's also spoiler for you. That's posted up for you. But so the trailers actually do a pretty good job of spelling the plot out. Essentially, this guy, Bear, the main character, he really has a big crush on his coworker Nikki, and he gets a little trinket, a one wish willow as they call it. So his wish is, I want her to love me more than anything in the world. Snaps it, and it kind of unravels from there. Like I said, given that this guy's material online has just been out there, like he kind of covers a lot of genres. I've seen a horror one where they've done like a parody on The Exorcist. They've done all kinds of stuff, and it's just ranging from ridiculous to almost dark. And he channeled that very well. I thought this is one of those horror movies that it's got its really creepy and like bone-chilling moments, but also has some moments where people will laugh. There were a couple times in this one where I was like, what the hell? This is so stupid. I definitely see his humor coming into it, which I thought was great. And the two leads, played by Michael Johnston and Indy Navarrete, I thought they killed it. I think this is going to be the role for her to like really put her on the spotlight, hopefully in a good way. And honestly, I would even put her up there in the Scream Queen conversation with this one. Burn, but before I keep going on and give my final thoughts, what did you think about this? Did you know who the director was? Because when I saw Curry Barker, I'm like, is he related to Clive Barker? So I had to Google him, and I was like, oh, that's the guy's name. I didn't know that. What were your expectations like? And, what did you think of it?
Yeah, so, I wasn't familiar with Curry Barker's YouTube work, like you are. I at least none of it comes to mind. Maybe I had seen one of the sketches and didn't really know like it was like him who was associated with it. So this is kind of like a brand new thing for me. The only thing I had heard about this movie, outside of the trailers, which again they did a really good job of kind of like not showing too much but giving you the idea of the premise, was when this movie was making the festival rounds late last year, and all the really good word of mouth that this movie was getting. So as we got closer to release, I was really excited for it. You know, it's been a pretty good year for horror so far. You know, there's been a few misses here and there, but overall it's been pretty strong. So, you know, I was hoping coming into it that all that, you know, hype, you know, this movie lived up to it. Because, you know, horror movies do tend to get a lot of hype, you know, especially near release. And sometimes they deliver, sometimes they don't, sometimes they're a little bit overblown. But I'm happy to say that this movie really delivered for me. I thought, you know, you can put this movie alongside a lot of really other great horror debuts. I'm thinking like Jordan Peele's Nope, John Krasinski's, you know, Quiet Place, and Zach Cregger's Barbarian. I think this movie just shoots right out of the gate and makes Curry Barker an interesting name already in horror. I think the premise itself is pretty simple, and you know it's a topic, you know, the monkey's paw wish thing that we've gotten in the past. So you know it's fairly one that people are like familiar with. But what this movie does is just the way that it executes on that premise is just so good. Like you mentioned, Michael Johnston and Indy Navarrete just give really great central performances. In particular, Indy, where you know she's asked to do a lot in this role, and I agree with you. I do think that she should be put up there in the household names of like screen queens, and or like really great performances, like you know Toni Collette, Naomi Scott, Mia Goth. I mean, she did such an incredible job. Where just like every sort of like look or like movement was just like it felt so like so like efficient, you know, like I felt like everything was in service of the story and the character, and every decision that they make, both you know in the acting and the shooting of her, really made all the creepy factors so effective. And this movie, I will say, you know, as a big scaredy cat and as someone who hates, you know, jump scare movies, this movie I'm so glad sort of stayed away from that. It kind of kept all the horror elements in camera, and it makes you sort of, it kind of forces you to live in these really uncomfortable, intense situations, and that's where the horror stems from. Really, really effective work here, and like again, it was shot really well. I love how Curry Barker and his cinematographer really make great use of shadows in this movie. You know, just obscuring things enough for your mind to sort of like play tricks on you and fill in the gaps of things that you can't quite see clearly. Really done so well. And the musical score here too was also really cool and synthy and effective, and almost gave like a throwback, you know, like 80s horror vibe to everything. And the way that it was shot sort of felt like kind of like an old school horror movie in a way. Yeah, man, this movie really caught me by surprise, and from beginning to end I was just tensed up, just like, oh my god, this whole situation is just totally messed up, and I'm enjoying every minute of it.
100%. I'm really happy for the cast and crew that this was like essential. I feel like Curry Barker and then Cooper Tomlinson, who's his like producer slash longtime collaborator with all the YouTube stuff. I feel like they've been in something major or like something like that on screen. I can't remember for the life of me, so I could be wrong on that. But I feel like if this is their first cinematic project, I'm so glad it did the way it did. Just watching a bunch of stuff on Instagram about, you know, Indy's prep for this, because she's like, yeah, this is they all watched a bunch of horror movies to get into that mindset for this. Like, this is going to be serious. We are taking this seriously. And she definitely, one of her inspirations was Mia Goth, and I see that 100%. But even though it was very similar, I'm glad it's still separate. Like, yeah, Mia Goth has her style. This is almost hers for this movie. And I'm very curious to see what the audience is going to take away from this, just because the way it talks about not necessarily incel guys, but like those kind of shy dudes and stuff who are scared about opening up to a woman or something and say, hey, this is my crush and stuff like that, and creating these obsessive, like, you know, mindsets with this. I'm curious to see how audiences are going to react to it, because I thought this is a very well done story to kind of put that into light, you know, the dangers of being that shy person in a way, like you're coveting someone in an unhealthy way. And they did in a very messed up but funny way. And I agree with you. At first I thought the use of lighting was very interesting. I was like, is this because it's a low budget horror movie? But honestly, it works out well for the story, and how it creates a very ominous environment and adds to that unsettling and uncomfortable feeling when you're watching this, just because I feel like everyone should have has that experience in some point in life where it's like someone's not into you but you're into them, or vice versa, like they're into you, you're not them, like. So I think everyone could relate to this movie in some form or another. But now, is it for me so far? I think my favorite horror movie is either Bone Temple or Hokum, given Hokum has been the scariest thing. But this one actually did a really good job of freaking me out. So, oh man, I'm gonna give it a strong 4 out of 5. It's almost a 5. That could change upon rewatch, which I do plan on rewatching. So I'll definitely, maybe when you do our mid-year review or end of the year review, I'll probably update that. But yeah, I definitely recommend this one. I think if you're in a relationship, depending on your vibes, this may be a fun date movie. I don't know. Well, that's something you'll have to talk with your significant other. But I think for horror fans, and if you're fans of Curry Barker and Cooper Tomlinson, I think you guys are gonna have a lot of fun with this. Just seeing his work from YouTube and social media go into this big screen, it's great. Like it's just, I'm happy that it worked out for him, really.
Yeah, this movie rocks, man. I mean, just the way that it comments on, like you said, like sort of like the nice guy archetype, and like codependency, and talking about women and their autonomy, and how some people don't want them to have that, which is scary thought in of itself. It takes all those things and the monkey bone, like I wish someone would love me as much as I like them, and just takes all those things and does what a great horror movie does, right? And takes those, notches them up to 11, and just goes kind of wild with it. And I think this movie did such a great job of that. For all the things you mentioned, the performances here, I think it's really well written, really well shot and put together. It's one of those that I feel like will reward rewatches, seeing like things like, oh, okay, that's sort of like hinting at that, and it's just a fun movie going experience with how sort of dark and mean this movie is. It balances all that well with, like you mentioned, the comedy elements here that, my theater was laughing and cringing and scared at all the right times, and definitely recommend seeing this one in the theater with the packed crowd, because this is such a fun movie theater experience that I want people to have. And this movie certainly deserves the theater experience for all the reasons we listed. And I think I might have to say it. I think this might be my favorite horror movie of the year so far. I loved Hokum, and I loved 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. But man, this just sort of like scratched an itch for me in terms of like the horror things, that this is just really right up my alley and just worked for me on every level. So I can't recommend this enough. I think Curry Barker again is another new name to add on to those directors who have made that shift from like a comedy to horror, or from like YouTube to horror movies, that we're going to be interested in, at least I will be interested in seeing what they do from here on out, like the Philippo brothers, like Zach Krager, and like Krasinski and Jordan Peele, just to name a few. Those are all really big names, but I think this is such a great debut movie. I can't imagine the follow-up being any less interesting. So yeah, for me, I think I can't give this anything else but a 5 out of 5. And had you told me I would be feeling this way coming out of it, I would have doubted it. But man, after seeing this movie, it just rocks in all the right ways.
Bernie, it's interesting how we flip-flop on some of the ratings, with that, like, I'm the 4, you're the 5, or I've been the 5, you're the 4. Lately, it's been like that, so it's just funny. But
hey, different strokes for different folks,
Exactly, and I'm glad you liked it that much. Like I said, upon rewatch, I may change my mind, but nevertheless, it is one of the best horror movies so far this year. And honestly, my comparisons, like, maybe to kind of prepare y'all for it, would be, it's like a mix of Hereditary, I would say Companion, and then there was one more I had in my mind.
You said It Follows, right?
I got some It Follows vibe, more of like in a way of like relating to like atmosphere and just that that feeling of dread. It's very similar to that. So
100%.
And also, actually, A Smile is another one I had from this. Yeah. Just because Indy's performance, man. Again, I loved her in Superman and Lois, given she was kind of like more of a love interest, but still a solid character in that. But seeing her become like this this force of horror in this movie. Like, just chef's kiss. I can't wait to see them all see what they keep doing in their careers. So,
Yeah, no,
for sure.
I think she's a household name after this. This performance. Go watch this movie for the performance alone. She's that good.
Oh, 100%. 100%. But yeah, so strong 4 out of 5, maybe 5 out of 5 for me, but definitely a 5 out of 5 from Burn. We both recommend it. So for those of you who did happen to watch it this weekend, feel free to let us know what you thought in the comments without spoiling it, of course. And yeah, like I said, we're already going into June. We're almost halfway through this year. So keep tuning along with us for some future reviews. And as always, stay bodacious and keep on ranting for us.
Absolutely, everybody. Be good, be safe, and as always, we'll catch y'all on the next one.